when Truman had 1,900 kids there, Truman did not look like it does now, I don't believe. I think walls were added, maybe there were some changes in some of those back hallways. I know we have a special education department there that takes up 2+ classrooms. We have some other programming in there with the Wellness Center. I don't think anyone's proposing that relocating, because that's a phenomenal program or partnership. But I think it might be helpful, at least for me, certainly as I've been in the buildings a limited number of times, the more I walk them, the more familiar I get, that it might be a beneficial thing for us to do as a board, just to take a walking tour and really examine that a little more closely. I know some folks have raised some concerns about some of the areas where those walls went up. Where are our points of egress? Where, when you do a fire drill, where do the kids go out? How does that flow work with double the number? And so those are important things for us to consider. So I'll throw that out there as an idea, and then open the board feedback on that. One thing I think we might be able to do, since obviously we're all normally here at board meetings, is we might be able to pick a meeting where we have a pretty small agenda and just plan on after the meeting going over there, and we just prearrange it with Leanne. We could alternately do it before the meeting. We could try and gather over there at 5 and do a walking tour, then come over here. Either way. So I'll throw that out as an idea. And I can certainly, you can email me or call me later. We can explore that in greater detail. Okay. Discussions about the planning for community forums. As I mentioned in my weekly update, I'm interested in scheduling some community forums, one at each of the 2 middle schools and possibly one more at Truman. I know I heard from Jamie on this, and Debbie, I know you and I talked. And I know I've talked to Melissa, and I've talked to Pat and Penny and Leanne. It sounds like the Truman program that was established last year had an unfortunate weather event and a power outage, so it was really not an ideal gathering for folks to talk. And of course, you're not going to take a tour with no lights on other than the emergency lighting. So, the more I try to gather stakeholder feedback and really engage folks about what things we need to be thinking about as a district as we look at this challenging issue, I want to make sure that we kind of keep this on the fore, especially this spring, because you're only going to make a decision like this in winter or spring. You're not going to make it in midsummer, because your timeline to affect any sort of change is past. With declining enrollment, 2 high schools that are half full or less, it is something that I want to make sure we've done our due diligence on. But of course, as the board's employee on this issue, I will pull the rope in this direction or this direction, whichever way the board wishes me to go. And so I really just want to ask just for a good discussion and some feedback from the board on this topic prior to scheduling these forums, because I don't want to do something that has been done, because that's a waste of everyone's time. But as I was looking at it originally, with a forum that was at the high school, my thought was a forum that was targeting the middle school population, so you're really engaging with rising parents of 8th graders, parents of soon-to-be 9th graders on that topic. So open to board thoughts, feedback, suggestions on that. And that's the end of my update.
Well, just to add on to that, in terms of the community forums, personally, I think it would be better served, we would be better served to at least have the discussions. People are already intrigued, want to know more. I don't see a reason we wouldn't go forward and have those discussions, at least outline the situation to more people, those who don't necessarily come to the board meetings on a regular basis, the situation that we're in. You outlined it well here again today, but I really think we should go forward and have those discussions and get people appraised of where we're at and what they're doing.
Well, I'd like to know where we're at.
Well, that's exactly the intent.
No, where we're at as a board. When I'm told it's not if, but when this will happen, Kennedy will close, we've not had that discussion, we've not made that decision. So again, I feel we're putting the cart before the horse. We're saying, how would you feel if we closed the school? Not, we're going to close the school and this is what we did to get information and make this run smoothly. It's, let's make it up as we go along, and let's get feedback, and let's, in my opinion, we don't have all the answers because we've not had a group discussion to say even whether it's going to happen. I constantly have people saying, are you closing Kennedy or are you not? We haven't made that decision. We have not had data. There should be a curriculum committee studying curriculum. There should be safety. There should be building. There should be supplies. There should be a plan already in place if we're doing this summer and moving some of the kids. This is what we're going to do. This is how maintenance and utility is going to be able to move things from one building to the other. We've not had that discussion. That plan's not in place. It's another TVLA. Let's make this up as we go along.
I don't really agree with that outlook, then let me explain why. The question here at hand is not make it up as we go along. We know we've got a lot of data. We know that a lot of this information can be presented. I think, in a way, we're kind of saying the same thing, and that is that let's have that discussion. I think that's exactly what Mr. Williams is saying. Let's have the, I think, Mr. Williams, your intent is not just have the discussion with the community, but with all the board members, that we would all be part of this discussion. We could all benefit from seeing more information, hearing more information, being part of the discussion as things are laid out. And secondary to that is that I struggle with, it was a similar discussion we had last year with regard to SGA, saying that we're going to have all these plans in place really doesn't make that much sense unless we have agreement on the direction. So we need to at least have a high-level agreement on the direction. So we looked at SGA. We went through a lot of discussion, a lot of data, fact gathering, went through the reviews last year with the committee, presented the information to the public and to the board, and went forward. And then once, I mean, there was some preliminary high-level strategy work that was done by the administration at multiple levels, but they didn't want to invest the time if we weren't going to give the direction to go forward. And I can understand that, respect that. And I think that's a similar point where we're at right now. You're not going to develop an entire plan until you know that that's the overall direction. So let's have the discussions with the community, with us, so we can at least get a better sense of where we're at.
If I may,
Please.
Ben and I have had numerous hours of conversation regarding this as well, and everything that Deb just stated is pretty much reading my mind in what I have stated in emails and over conversations Mr. Williams and I have had, that if we are going to have these forums with the public, are we asking them their opinion, their thoughts and concerns, or are we using it as a platform to inform them that Kennedy is closing? It is just a matter of time. Is that going to take place for this coming fall? Is it going to take place for next fall? So that's a decision that has to be made before I feel we can move forward and tell the community anything. We cannot take a vote. We cannot have discussion about something with the community if we ourselves as a board have not had discussion about it first.
Well, I mean, the intent of the forum is not to tell somebody this is the direction. It's to talk about where we're at in the situation.
And as
to
Deb
gather
just said, we're
questions.
not anywhere because this board has not had discussion about that.
So, well, I'm confused. I mean, we know through multiple sources, through the finance meeting, even going back to the revitalization committees, which, you know, you were of course part of last year. We know that there's a lot of data that's been put together. Again,
And shown to whom?
well, shown at finance meetings, shown in open board meetings. I mean, we look at, you know, the current state of the district in terms of finance, every finance meeting, and a lot that's presented and rolled up as part of our information as well. I mean, when we...
presentation that we had as a task force, that we've been through Mr. Saylor, presented to the school board and to the audience, and was actually put up on the Taylor School website. It had a lot of verbal information, all of our alleged factual information, that then months later, I had individuals on the task force committee within our school district and other people come to me and say that the numbers and the information that we were given may in fact may not have been factual. That they were told that this is the information that they were told to give to the board to be put into the presentation. So then after that, I now have questions as to what factual information did we actually receive as being members of that task force committee versus what were people told to submit to make their reports look good. So there's where I have one issue standing right there.
I struggle with that because we just got a report a few weeks ago that reviewed the actual final numbers from SGA, and they were very close to what was projected. I want to say within 20,000, maybe 10,000. Okay, it was very close. So
And you're talking SGA, we're talking about the potential combine of
Yeah,
two
but
high
just
schools.
as an example, I mean, that was part of the entire package last year. So I struggle with somebody basically saying, well, I think those numbers are wrong, when we have in fact point a case where the estimates came very close to the final numbers.
Well, I'm not saying that these people were right, and I'm not saying that they were wrong. I'm saying as a member of this board who is entrusted to take a vote on what is best for our community, what is best for our kids, we simply cannot hold a vote on something until we continue to maybe rediscuss the entire situation. And I'm not saying go through the process back at ground zero and progress from there. I'm talking about pulling the department heads back in. We have a new board, we have a new superintendent, we have a new assistant superintendent. Let's pull those department heads back in. Let's get some information from them on what their facts and figures were. And if they look the same as what they did for the task force, great. Let's take that information, put it in a new report, and move forward with our findings. But as it is now, to hold a forum with the community to ask them, to tell them, to hear their concerns, I think we as a board need to have these conversations first.
Oh, okay, again, my take is similar but slightly different. The intent of the forum is not to have a vote. The intent is to have a discussion with the community and make them more aware of what I think we are as a board. And that is, you know, the fact that we're very close, just barely coming out of DEP, and still forecasted to be very close next year. So, I mean, that's, you know, step one of it. Again, I don't think anybody's saying or has said that, you know, we're going to, you know, go to the next few weeks and have a vote, but we need to at least have a discussion. So we're kind of saying the same thing. We're talking about talking.
We need to have discussions.
Right, so let's do
Correct.
that, which is, I think, what Mr. Williams is advocating.
Absolutely.
But amongst ourselves, not amongst the community.
Correct.
Every time we go before the community and we don't have answers, and I can only speak for myself, but I had a recent meeting that night of the Truman meeting, but again, I wasn't going to stand up there on stage because we weren't privy as board members to those revitalization meetings. We weren't told when they were. We weren't told what was being discussed. We weren't given updates on a regular basis about what was going on. In my understanding, revitalization committee members were told not to talk amongst themselves. I'm just telling
I
you.
was part of the committee, I was never told that. I'm just telling you.
But you were a board member, you were on that committee. If we have ad hoc committees, they're supposed to come back to the board. We get an update on the work of an ad hoc committee. That did not happen. We got a final report. Here's the suggestions, and one of the suggestions for saving money was closing Kennedy. Now, we need to know if you're in favor of this or not. And the superintendent at that time was not in favor of it. The board president was not in favor of it. I wasn't in favor of it because we did not have the data. There was a discussion about having one high school be a STEAM academy and one high school be a career center academy. We had discussions out there and then all of a sudden, nope, we're closing. We didn't have that discussion here.
There were many meetings. Just to clarify one thing, it was not an ad hoc committee of the board, it was an advisory committee of the superintendent.